They are youth classes, income, recreation department, youth classes, adult classes, youth sports, and adult sports. Now, what I wanted to do was compare how much money we're taking in for each line item and how much we're spending for each line item. And I kind of thought if I could get that information, that we'd probably be spending a lot more per each line item than we were taking in. To my surprise, we are actually taking in a lot more than we're spending, according to the numbers I received. Something along the lines of 72% to 86% per line item. We're charging more. So we're spending $100 to run a program, and we're taking in $186. So wow, that's a lot of money we've got. That's fantastic. We should pay down the fire engine. We should pay down the bond for the community center. But it makes me nervous that I'm not getting all the information. I'm a little concerned that that extra money that we are pulling in and that we haven't accounted for, that we're spending, that we just don't have all the numbers. So it's hard for me to be able to feel that I'm comfortable approving this budget if I don't have all the information on what we're spending money on. But if we're making loads of money, it concerns me that maybe we're charging the public too much for some of these programs. If we're charging that much more than it costs to run a program. So I think the budget still needs a bit of work. Okay. Three out of 4. The kiosk, it's the Cameron Park Lake. The line item operating income budget for the kiosk is $21,000. And I asked how much it costs to staff it, and the budgeted amount is $21,000 to staff the kiosk for the year. So, without counting overhead or anything else, that's where the person in the kiosk is collecting money to pay the person in the kiosk, as far as I can tell. And I also want to repeat, I recognize the staff and the board were looking at legacy policies that maybe we didn't know why certain policies were established a long time ago. So we're getting a chance to look at things for the first time in a while. But to me, I would really like to eliminate charging people money at the kiosk and not hire temp staff to staff the kiosk. It won't save the district any money, it won't cost the district any money, and in my opinion, it won't harm the district. I was asking the policy reason behind that, and it was to keep out loiterers from the park. I think it's also keeping out families. They can't afford, they don't want to spend all the money to bring in a van full of people per person charge. I'm concerned there's not sufficient control of the person collecting the money. Who is ensuring that they're actually collecting the money? Who is ensuring that they're not pocketing the money? And I don't mean any disrespect to those people. I just mean that they shouldn't be put in a position where someone can even ask that they're doing that. I'm concerned that we don't have statistics or numbers, and I have not asked how many people enter the lake annually, how much does it cost to actually run the park annually, how are we coming up with the amounts that we charge. So I think until we're, and if this is for safety, to keep those darn loiterers out, since we're in a new modern era of technology, maybe there's other ways we can do that that doesn't cost $21,000. I'm actually gonna add a few things to that reasons I closed the charging on that place. I think it's not competitive when you can go somewhere like the state parks where gold was discovered. You can pay $10, I believe, to park the vehicle. Whereas if you bring a group of people into the Cameron Park Lake, it might be $25. I don't think it's transparent. I don't think we're being transparent to the public to say we're charging this money to staff the field. I think that the public comes in, they see a beautiful lake behind them in a park, and they think, oh, this money is going to help maintain the park. Fair enough. Well, it's not. And I think we need to be transparent about that. Residents already pay for the lake with taxes. I hear this a lot from members of the public. And I want to encourage families to come to the lake. The lake is going to be safer, if you will, with more families. And it's ringed by residents. There's people that are looking at the lake all the time. Something is going awry. They can call. It's not a remote area. Okay. I'm going to stop on the lake for now. Except that everybody's costs are going up. We all have our costs going up. Food food, insurance, and everything, so I should keep making people pay. Okay, my last one is the proposal to close the community center for a couple days a week. This is possibly a perfectly reasonable proposal. I did see a discrepancy in the budget document where I think the community center budget narrative proposed closing it for 2 days a week, and then the recreation department narrative said that they were not proposing it, to closing it 2 days a week. So I just want to make sure that the general manager has a decision on what the proposal is, to close it or not to close it, and that if the proposal is to close it for a couple of days a week, I just hope that the recreation classes, that impact has been taken into account for the recreation budget for income for the coming year, because it looks like it could impact the potential for facility rentals and possibly some of the programs. Those are my 4 topics. They were special services for facilities. There was a recreation department that seems to be missing some expenditures for some line items. Why are we charging people at the kiosk at the lake? And if we're closed, are we or are we not supposed to close the community center, and has that been taken into account in recreation budget?
So staff, if you have those questions, if you have those answers, please answer them. Otherwise, we'll get back to you.
I'll just speak really loud. So I think from the city, the $54,000 for professional services.
Okay, sorry about that.
So that line item has on-the-spot janitorial. They come in and clean the district restrooms every Wednesday. And they also perform a deep cleaning the first Wednesday of every month. And it's roughly $14,000 a year. El Dorado Weed Control is assisting the district with our weed abatement program, helps us chemically treat areas that have been cut, and also puts down a pre-emergent. That way we can control the weeds before they even come up. And this year we're looking at using some of the CAL FIRE climate grant to offset about $15,000 of that funding to maintain the open space system. It also covers Sierra Security, who performs the lockup services of all the parks at night. It opens up all the parks on the weekends. And it covers DSA, who is our IT contractor, who provides IT and technical support for the department. So those are the 4 line items.
And then regarding the recreation department with the programs, some of the expenses that are not included are obviously the full-time overhead and expenses allocated to that. And we'll have to get back to you on the kiosk. It might have been that if we eliminate, if we close the lake, they may not have made the appropriate adjustments for the staff. Yes.
So we need to hear the conversations, you guys. Okay, you need to mic it. Okay, because I can't. I didn't hear a word you said, and I didn't hear any conversation. Please.
I just wanted to clarify if Tina meant closing the lagoon, that would potentially also stopping the kiosk.
For the community center, initially when we came out, we wanted to preserve the operations of the community center. As we move through this process, we are, staff is going to come back to the Parks and Recreation Committee with what it would look like to save $40,000 at the community center. We asked Mike to put together some numbers if we close the community center for 2 days a week. But that is considering no loss of revenues from our taxes and things like that. So I think that just like the recreation budget, there's more work to do in those 2 program areas. If the board chooses tonight to not, summer operations are going to continue, so there's not going to be anything occurring real soon. Probably some of these changes will start rolling out in the fall. That gives staff time to put together reports back to committees to say, if we close the community center 2 days a week, it would be these 2 days, and here are the impacts. We were able to switch classes or we weren't. Or we've altered our recommendation. We're not closing 2 days a week, but we feel like we can save $40,000 if we close 1 day a week and 2 half days a week. So we're not exactly sure what this is going to look like, but our interest is to save $40,000 in the community center, and we've got to post it, and we'll be reporting that. Same with recreation. But in the past of recreation, there was a property tax allocation anywhere from, $75,000 to $150,000 in the recreation department, which supported actually 2 staff positions. We now are down to 1 staff position, and if there is not a property tax allocation going to recreation, then all of our fees will have to recover not only the cost of the program and the staff, but also those overhead costs such as rec drive, the recreation supervisor and things like that. And so I was envisioning going back to the Parks and Rec committee to say, this is what we can do with the circumstances that we have, and so we'll report back on that.
A follow-up question to Jill. Can you please remind me the fiscal year runs from what date?
July 1 to June 30th.
So if this board does not approve the budget, how is the district able to run operations throughout the summer?
So, and Vicki can correct me if I'm wrong, but we didn't take a full operating year out of the lagoon, and we didn't necessarily take a full, we did do the summer spectacular. There'll be some residual summer spectacular costs after June 30th, but what we tried to do was to figure out for us to continue operations. It's difficult to change operations during your summer and start of the season. So we considered those things when we put forth this preliminary budget.
So this is, so the decisions and the votes tonight are effective July 1st, but the budget is in such a way that programs that are planned for this summer would be able to continue, and that theoretically, the year after, assuming that we continue on the same pattern in the budget, it would actually be a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, so I would see changes, whatever the board decides on preliminary and then final budget on August 30th, you would start seeing those either reports back to committees in the fall, and then also changes in operations in the fall. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Have we ever gotten an answer about how much it costs to run the community center on a daily basis? Conversation to close the community center, budget and admin committee was the concept of the Sunday, Mondays, but staff would still be here. So I just don't understand that concept. I don't think we know enough about what the costs are that's presented in order for us to fully understand that. All I see that's happened for the last couple of years is the reduction of services and events for our community. We used to have music, we used to have concerts, we used to have events at the lake, and they're gone. And I don't understand why we have to lose all these things. I don't see why we're not able to balance our budget, still put money away, and provide fire service. The fact of life is that our fire budget, as we all know, approximately 70%. And I don't see the work being done to bring in sponsorships, to keep our summer spectacular program. I have a question. If we close the lagoon, the net reduction of savings is $30,000. That's the delta of income, I believe, so $30,000. That's astonishing. We reduced services at the lake already this summer. I don't know if people are aware of that. We have, instead of 2 our shifts, we have one. I'm not sure how much we're losing in summer, by reduction of service there. I don't understand. It's just, the community is not the same as it was when I moved here. We used to be able to go out to the lake for events. We used to be able to come to the community center for events. And I just don't see it. There's got to be another way. I don't know where all the money is going. I don't know. It's a problem. We need your help. We need your ideas. I don't understand the cut. I understand the budget. I understand the money, but I don't know what we're going to do.
Any other comments from the board before we open up to the public? Great. Thank you, everyone. We really like hearing you. We need to hear your priorities and your thoughts. Please come up and all of you.
Thanks, Joe.
That's you bring your own.
Sure. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, and it's been discussed. I've been so much to discuss, and that's only in 4 minutes. I'll get right to it. The summer spectacular used to be outsourced. We had somebody who ran it, and it made money. We had a general manager that insisted on bringing it in-house, and we had lost money every year since. We have heard excuses that the reason it's not making money is it's hot. Well, it's hot in Cameron Park in June. So I got up here once and facetiously suggested we move the summer spectacular to Oktoberfest. It's cooler, it gets lighter, it gets darker soon, you get your kids home earlier. I mean, we can outsource this. We had somebody who was successfully running this, and then the general manager and the moronic board who rubber stamped everything that she wanted, brought it in-house, and it's been a millstone around our neck ever since. Point number one. Point number two, Felicity, if you're shocked about what things cost, answer me this. What does this community center cost per square foot? I've been asking for 7 years, and I've never gotten an answer. Amazing. Okay, third point, you're going to close the center in 2 days. Supervisor Franklin has been kind enough to get us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for our meals program. So you're going to close Sunday, Monday? Well, you just chopped a third of her work right off. Thank you for nothing. Right? You're going to close it Tuesday or Thursday. We have games here for the seniors. So what day are you going to close? How much money are you going to save on that? What are you going to sacrifice? How are you going to work this out? And I've suggested this at the Budget and Admin Committee, and I guess nobody likes this idea. Instead of closing on any day, just open 1 hour later. Every person who is not on salary, you'll save that hour. You'll save 5 hours a week, 240 days a year, which is 240 hours a year, which is roughly a month. They won't lose 8 hours. They'll lose 5 hours. And we'll pick up 30 days that we're not paying them. Everybody else does it. Now, it's a budget and admin, and just right over your heads. Boom, right over your heads. And another thing about this, I still assume that we're getting the 3% miracle increase in property taxes in this budget, like we showed at the admin meeting. And another thing, no, we get 2 from the charter stand, but we get an additional 3 magic, because it's going to be 5%. Thank you for correcting me so everybody understands. One thing that I didn't see in any of this is how we increase revenues. I have made multiple suggestions to general managers in the past. I have sent this general manager some of the ideas on how to sell and market and who to contact. And I guess my suggestions wind up my suggestions always wind up in the circular file. Because for the past, I've been working on this. Greg Stanton was on the board, and he asked me to work with Mary Cagle back in, I think it was 2012. I mean, I've been doing this since 2012. I've been doing this like, 7 years now. And I've been making these same suggestions to different boards, to different general managers, and the result has been the same. And here we are. We have not increased revenues. At the last budget meeting, I suggested that we get, as Greg Stanton had suggested, we get a church in here. The answer that I got back is that Nobody's contacted us. Before I could get gavelled down, I snuck in. Has anybody solicited them? Nobody's going to come to us and offer us money. You got to go out and you got to find it. Now you're going to hire a grant writer, and I suggest that you get a volunteer group to assess what grants you want, assess how you're going to put them in place, assess how you're going to execute them, and then pick your top 5 or 10 and hand that to the grant writer. Because a grant writer should be writing, not researching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Harris. I am a resident, and I did fill out one of the green card tablet. I see this budget situation twofold. We have our current budget deficit we must deal with, but we're going to be back here next year, the year after, unless we come up with a plan, a longer-term plan also that's going to help do something to increase revenues. We can go out for sponsorships, all types of things, but the fact of life is costs are going up, and they're going to continue to go up. When I look at the budget up there, it looks like we're all on the Titanic. I mean, 80% of that budget, as I'm looking at, between fixed overhead costs and the fire department, everything we're talking about is only 20% of the budget. So number one, I think we need to go back and look at the fire department. That's the largest part of the budget. I know it's not popular, and nothing against fire, but it is our number one expense. It's something we definitely need to look at. Going forward, something we may want to look at is a community for a longer-term solution. We may want to look at proposing a 4% sales tax for the district. One thing in this area, we have a lot of gas sales and things like that that are from people outside the district that are just coming through the area, so we may be able to pick up some extra revenue besides local resident spending from people outside the district. So thank you. It's just a couple of ideas, and I know it's just difficult, but we will make through it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just told Mr. Harris, shame on him. Anyway, my name is Barbara Rogers. I've been coming to these meetings for 15 years. And this structural deficit actually started in 2012. And the prior board and the prior manager ignored it. I've never put the blame on these people here. However, it is time to address it because it has grown every year. One thing I did bring up at the budget and admin meeting to the general manager was the number of employees that she hired. To my count, there's 25 people on this list. I do know you're going to make cuts, but 24 of them are enrolled in PERS. I requested to know why we had part-time people in PERS. I think the answer was kind of slanted towards, well, they may have been prior PERS people, which means you can't be retired. You have to be someone that worked for a PERS agency and came to work here, and then you have to enroll them in the retirement system, or not. So I never did, I need to put that answer in writing when I plan on doing that, or that question, because to me, this is part of our problem. When you are in a structural deficit, you don't go hire a bunch of people. But this general manager has really hired a lot of people. We have 25 people on the books. So I did a little bit of math sitting there, and I will be asking for extra time when he can board in case I run over, please. 1819, your retirement health was, I'm not going to say what it was, but I'm going to say the increase from 1819 to 1920, you have a $24,000 increase. I don't know how you can come up with a $24,961 increase on your retiree health unless you're going to have numerous people retire. I did work for Eldorado County Fire. I did budgets. I did scheduling. I did health benefits. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm a retired annuitant. Your dental, you have from $3,500 to $10,716. That's a $7,200 increase. Your CalPERS retirement, and this is for your full-time and part-time people, was $186,000 for 18-19, and now you're going to budget $222,633, which is a $36,000 increase. The administration salaries, if I'm reading the budget right, and you didn't provide any copies of the budget, you guys, I would have printed it out, so I had to read it on my phone, so you'll have to forgive me. It would be nice if you could provide this information at the tables for the public. I didn't see it there. I don't need you to answer, Jill, I'm just making a statement. Okay, so 18-19, your salaries were $505,000, 19-20, they're $687,532 for an increase of $182,532. Now, we hear from our board or our general manager and staff that when we use part-time Blue Ribbon help, that really wasn't cheaper. Well, I'm not buying that either. I was speaking to Illinois Hills, and they hire a lot of part-time Blue Ribbon people because you save on benefits and workers' comp and all this other stuff for like the summer months. And I don't want to see anybody lose their jobs. I'm not a proponent of that. I am a retired public employee, so I don't want anybody to think that this is where I'm headed. I'm just pointing out my opinion and my thoughts on why we have a deficit, part of it. The part-time help in 18-19 was $182,350 versus $118,175 in 19-20, which is, more time please?
I will ask the board.
Thank you.
Would the board be interested in making a motion to allow the speakers to have additional time, keeping in mind that you should specify the amount of time, and it would apply to everybody?
So moved. 5 minutes.
I'm almost done.
I'd like to make an alternative motion. I moved 2 minutes more.
Thank you. Okay.
So how do we handle that? We've got two motions.
We do have two motions. Either the first motion can be withdrawn, or technically we vote on the first motion.
I'll withdraw mine and second Director Crossman's motion.
Okay, all in favor?
So what I want to point out with part-time help, that is a decrease of $64,000. That overall, the increase in all of this is $250,709. And that was never pointed out to anybody. I mean, you have to look at the budget and you have to look at the numbers. So when the budget was first presented, the lion's share of the increases were to our fire service. Well, I'm not buying that because it's not true. And your health benefits are going to go up on an average of 4.3%. I got the notice, the email, I think I sent it to Vicki. Like I said, I keep on top of this. So all I'm saying is the community center is a lot of this because there's no tax revenue associated with running this, but also I feel that we should not have hired as many people. We should not have signed everybody up for PERS Health. I see absolutely no reason that they are signed up for PERS Health except for the fact that you didn't know the PERS law and you went over hours and were forced to do it. So I know this is a tough decision. I've been up here for 15 years. I've been barking the same things for years. You have to make the tough decisions, and if you guys can't do it, then I've said it before, you have no business to be on this board, and that's the way I feel about it. You have got to make the tough decisions. You are our elected officials. We need to figure out how to at least try to bring in more money here. And we cannot do without our fire department. We cannot do it. Who's going to roll up to you at your house? The parks people with the defibrillator?
We have David Gilbert.
First question, there was $100,000 that was of tax, property tax allocation that was taken from the rec department, and where was that reallocated to? But when he did his presentation, he had a line up there
that said there was no property tax allocation. Isn't that correct? Is that, well, am I missing something here? Yeah, well,
Actually, could you finish your statement and then we'll answer the question?
okay, yeah, I'll finish my statement. I agree with Director Carlson. We need to look at some of these, a couple of these items. The janitorial service, the public has brought this up several times, that we should not be paying an outside janitorial service $14,000 a year to keep the restrooms clean when we have as much staffing as we do. That should have been cut out. And the public has said, also the security people, I really question their usefulness, going around and locking things up and so forth. I think we have, once again, have personnel that could lock up some gates and we could probably get rid of them. That being said, I really have to agree with Barbara. I don't think that we've been given accurate and honest information about the actual cost of the district taking on these employees that previously worked through a temp agency. I understand that the 30% premium can be paid blue ribbon on top of their hourly wage, okay? But what I don't understand is how you can say going forward, okay, that we're going to be saving money for all the reasons that Barbara just enumerated in terms of their medical and welfare benefits, their pension costs and so forth. There's no way you can look me in the face and say, yeah, long term, we're going to be saving lots of money by not having these people on our staff. The other thing is, if you're talking about closing the community center 2 days a week, are you going to be able to take the people that work here in the community center and say, okay, well, we've got your hours, for these 2 days, don't bother to come to work. Can you do that? You can? Even though they're represented, they're under an MOU, and you can cut their hours? Can you? Huh? Okay, that's great. Because, the thing about having temporary employees is it's complete flexibility for the district. Fluctuating labor needs throughout the year, season to season. You can phone up the agency and say, yeah, we don't need these couple of people for the next 4 months. This is our slow season. We're cutting our staff during that time. You can't do that with your employees. You can't send them home for months at a time. I think you really blew it by bringing all these people on and making them our employees. It's expensive and it takes away all your flexibility in terms of fluctuating labor needs. It was a bad move, and I agree with Barbara. I think it's a big part of the substantial increase in the deficit that we've seen this year, in spite of what we've been told. I don't think we've been told the truth about that.
I've had a request for a break. Just a really short break. Yes, we want to take one comment. How do you want to proceed? Should we take a break or do you? Yeah, we make it like a super short break. We still want to just long. Please don't leave. Just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Can you give me 10? All right, 10 minutes. 9 o'clock. Please do not leave.
All my debt, but all the covered part of my debt.
I'm going to save you 4 minutes. David said everything that I was going to say. Didn't leave me one thing to say. I would like to say one thing.
Well, if you'd like to speak, Bill,
No,
would you,
just
well, could you approach the podium, please, so
Today-
everyone can hear you?
June, this center has been open 10 years. This month. That's all I want to say.
All right.
Just a couple of questions, because some of what I want to ask is already covered by others. I appreciate that. First, thank you for the various revisions and the things that Jill and staff have come to bring this down from what it was first meetings to this, to give us more work to do and more things to talk about, get closer to what we want. A couple of quick questions. One is a clarification talking about CAL FIRE contract costs. I don't see it noted, it might be somewhere, but that we are still under contract, and what we're proposing for the budget is what we hope are the actual costs, but it does not change their contract amount that they can spend up to. And I want to make sure that that's both clear and stated somewhere in the paperwork of the budget, just so that the public really understands, because if there is some kind of expense that raises that, they're not going to go back and say, why did they spend more? Well, because their contract enabled to. Just want to make sure that that's clear somewhere in there. The other thing in talking about closing the community center 2 days a week, and I've heard the various iterations of how that works. When staff, it sounds like they're going to be bringing a report back later in the year. So what we're working with right now is a projection. It is not a firm number. And at this point, we don't know how much is actually based on what will happen. So obviously preliminary budget actuals, that's not out of line with what we would do anyway. We're just trying to create a number. But with that, just making sure that those considerations are not just days closed and how many will shift over, that we need to hear that. How many people who currently use on the days that are closed would then shift over, how much is then lost if they don't. And with that, if it can be detailed out, specifically, because Mike, we've talked, closing the 2 days is about utilities and staffing particular buildings when it's hardly used. That would be helpful for us to see specifically too. That it's not just a random thing, but here's what's the typical use for these days. Or even if it is a seasonal thing, if you can maybe part way, there's parts of the year that these things are not used, and this month to this month, these are closed, they're open more other times. That would be helpful for us receiving that information, both what the current use and load is and what projected would be. That'd be helpful for us. One minor piece where it talks about the increased revenues from property taxes. It's stating a clear picture regarding property taxes will be available at year-end close. I just need a clarification. Is that a year-end close calendar, fiscal? Just trying to get a sense of, this is page 6 of 7 on the preliminary budget. Just want to understand when that will actually be made available. We're talking about calendar because by then we've got 6 months of actuals to work with. That's all I have for now.
Yeah. Good evening again, Sheila Franson, and please don't take any of my comments personal. This is numbers, and when it comes to numbers, I'm just brutal. So with that, I want to thank Vicki for putting this budget together. This is probably the first time that I see the budget organized such that you can look at it at a high level and make policy decisions. So thank you for that. And I want to tell the board that I don't envy you. You are in this position because of the inaction of prior boards. At the county, we're in the same situation with a couple more zeros in front of everything, but this is a tough budget and you have a lot of tough decisions to make. And my comments are, last year I had a lot to contribute before we added the full-time employees. So this year, there's not much that we can do because we're just boxed in to whatever is in front of us. So with that said, a few questions. So the $100,000 for the reduction. I think that was answered where it's going. It's going to fixed cost and admin, I believe that's transition. The union negotiations, is it 4% COLA that you have agreed to add every year? So that's one question, if you can answer. When you close the community center, the pool is also closed or not? And then, let's have a look at this overview. Your overhead is really the fixed cost and admin. So the 20% is your admin overhead, which for the community center, in my opinion, is high. And the other thing I want to point out is the 69% that you pay to the fire department, you have no long-term liability. So any model that you go after, whether it was internal or you get another agency in the county to come help you, you're going to be dealing with that long-term liability and CalPERS. Once you pay that 69-70%, you're done. So I think it's a blessing to have that model, and I hope that people recognize that as well. The other thing that I look at the budget at the high level is you're not putting money aside for your CIP reserve, CalPERS, unfunded liabilities, and all of the above. What is the difference? Do you have a reserve, or your fund balance is really your reserve? So, and how has that fund balance increased or decreased over the last 5 years to get a trend for it? I don't have a good understanding of that. Felicity, it's nice to see you in action and interesting observations for a couple of things that you said. The district cannot really charge more than your costs and expenses. So you have to be really careful with that policy and philosophy. And then the Counterpart Lake, what you charge versus what the revenue that you bring in, very interesting. So I would recommend that you look at your policies when you get to that level, and that's where you were going with that. Retirement payments, and this is where I'm going to, I mean, I appreciate all the retirees, and they deserve every penny of it, but I was looking at the list, and Mary Cahill, $4,000, oh my God, pardon. So, thank you so much.
And thank you.
I didn't submit a green card, but I'm happy to turn it over, the voluntary green card.
How did you get in the country?
Somehow, nobody checked me at the door. My name is Sid Bassett. I've been in Counterpart for over 20 years. And there's so much complexity here, there's so many things, but in my 4 minutes, I'd like to really address 2 issues. What I really believe is the crown jewel of Counterpart is Counterpart Lake. And it would just break my heart to think that we would not have a summer spectacular. And I appreciate the challenges that you're all facing in finding where can we save money, but that is certainly one of the last things I would want us to consider. And let me make a comparison. I lived in Stockton many years, and I was there for the first summer spectacular. I was also there for the first Asparagus Festival in Stockton. And the Asparagus Festival in Stockton was pretty much staffed entirely by volunteers. It was a fun-making thing for community groups across the community, brought the community together. It brought people from other cities to Stockton. In fact, they put it on one of their water tanks, the Asparagus Festival. Sadly, it was the Goose Lake Golden Egg. They kept adding more and more. They now needed police and fire and special forces or helicopters or whatever they felt they needed. Pretty soon they shut it down for 2 years because the costs far exceeded the benefit, and they simply couldn't cover all the costs. The beginning of the summer spectacular was free. There was no charge to walk in there. My recollection is the fireworks were put on by a family from, I believe, Pollock Pines, in remembrance of the sun. So that's how it started. It was an extraordinary thing for a community, brought people together. And I live on Counterpart Lake. I would watch people come in. They now limit the time you could come in. People were coming in at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning to lay a blanket down and get chairs. Grandparents, children, babies were there spending the days having their picnic there. And the high point was the summer spectacular fireworks. It was an extraordinary event for our community, why would we want to lose something that is perhaps the most remarkable thing of this community? We should have billboards on our highways. We should be saying Cameron Park, where they have a summer spectacular on a body of water. Ideally, it would be almost no charge. You get sponsors. I hate to say it, but probably there are vendor people who know a whole lot better than you people are very competent. And they should be working on it a year or even 2 years out there, finding vendors. How do we do this the most economical way? How many volunteers can we get? Can we get STARS? Can we get Key Club? Can we get Boy Scouts? Can we get churches? What can we do to take care of the security needs, the health needs, all those kinds of things? I think the sad thing is, I think the community perceives this as a moneymaker for the community service district. So why not charge a lot? Why not have all these service people there that maybe are not needed? Maybe they're not even statutorily required to have that number of police. It seemed like we had a couple of police officers and 1 fire engine the first year. That was it. Everybody wants to be at Cameron Park Lake for the fire spectacular, but why should they be paid? Let's get as many volunteers as we can there. But the second thing I want to speak to is the lagoon. I used to walk down there with my little boy now, who's a freshman at UCLA, and go swimming on the beach. And I can remember when we had the raft that we could jump off of and swim off of, and that was so much fun. Unfortunately, that was taken away from us for liability issues. But it is, again, a very unique thing to have a lake where there's a beach where children can go and wade and be safe, and people can have a picnic lunch and enjoy and socialize and meet family and friends there. It's, again, something people come outside of Cameron Park to visit because it's so unique. What I haven't heard tonight is, what is the revenue generated by that lagoon? What does it cost us? In fact, it may be making a profit. It's so unique. If it's not, maybe it's just not being marketed. People don't know how unique that is. Swimming pools are fun, but for a toddler or a young child, a preschooler, walking in the sand is magic. And every mom and dad knows that. There's nothing unique about that. So, and on the gate. We have gates everywhere in our lives. That's how you get on the light rail. That's how you go to BART. That's how you get in the airport. It should not be that hard to have a gate that you put in, and I would think no more than $5 a car, and it opens up and you go in. What about the people who walk in, the pedestrians? They have pedestrian gates for getting on BART and light rail. It's not that complicated. You can eliminate that staff position by having an automated system. In fact, there's probably companies that would fund you that to put it out there initially, so there's maybe even no cost. I just think we have to think a little more creatively, but let's not kill the goose that lays the golden egg. It is an amazing thing that we have, and I know we're looking at a year out there, but in a year, let's put something together that makes sense of all the things I've talked about. Maybe it should be vendored, maybe it should be largely staffed by volunteers, maybe it needs to be marketed and promoted, because people want to get their name out there, they're willing to pay money for it. You know, there should be banners, there should be lots and lots of ways for people earn income. And again, I think it's been a great fight for me as a member of this community to have that, and it would really sadden me deeply to see us lose that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
I'm Roberta Rimbaugh, Cameron Park. I want to reiterate what this gentleman said. I agree, it's a jewel. I also live on the lake. I've seen some really successful events. There was a chili cook-off that was really popular until the CSD took it over, and then it ended. So I wanted to just reiterate, I don't think we should disband the Summer Spectacular. So I think he offered some creative ideas. I want to talk about the landscape and the landscape assessment, district assessment, the LAD. I've asked questions about this in the past, and I still don't have any adequate answers. I understand that the state requires this of us, that this engineering report be done, but I don't understand the value of it, how it affects residents. I think the lighting in our district is abysmal, and if you take a look, there's so many insects and webs on the lights around the lake, or the neighborhoods around the lake, that it hardly emits any light. And so I just need some clarification of the value of this report. At one point, Mary Cahill said that PG&E is responsible and they're going to replace the lights with LEDs. She's long gone, and I haven't seen any improvement. And it seems to me that, do you know what this report cost this time? Okay, because it's my understanding some years ago it was $5,000 and now it's like $15,000. So that enters into the budget as well.
Thank you. And anyone else like to speak?
Hi, my name is Robert Golden. I've been a resident of Cameron Park for 18 years. My previous recreational and community focus was in Loma Lotus for about 10 years because I identified with their values, identified the thing I love with the river, and identified with the conservation activity with the American River Conservancy. But anyway, there was a local passion in that community that when they had an event called the Trail Fest, that event started out as just kind of a party, and then it became a fundraiser for American River Conservancy. And so it ran from about 2004 to about 2014. And for 6 of those years, I was the logistics coordinator for the event. And they made money, but they got a huge amount of community buy-in. People had a passion about the community, and they loved to give away stuff, they loved to work there for free. And so what I'm seeing in Cameron Park is that you have a jewel of a community center. I think it's envied a lot of places around it. Maybe not quite as great as Eldorado Hills, but it's pretty darn nice. It's nicer than Placerville, for instance. And then you have a jewel, which is Cameron Park Lake. And people, it's kind of like laid back. It's kind of like a city park in Sacramento. It's really, you can walk in there, you can do whatever you want. And so it's, I think people, if people would focus on Cameron Park Lake, it's really a great thing. You should love to come here. You should love to volunteer. Donate stuff to the Cameron Park Festival. And so I think what you need is just a whole lot more community buy-in to get people for the community, to help the community center run better, and a whole lot more buy-in on the lake and on the Cameron Park Spectacular. And I think so what you need is people with a passion to do this. And I think Cameron Park is a diverse community. A lot of people, they don't work here, but they live here, and they do a certain amount of recreation here. And so that's get people to identify that and start contributing more to the community, you might have more success with the Cameron Park Festival. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And others, anyone else, we'd love to hear from you tonight. Very important that we get your input. Did you speak?
I did, but I didn't use my full 4 plus 2 bonus. Am I allowed to ask another question?
If you haven't used your 2 bonus, you can use your 2 bonus.
Sorry, more questions than burning space tonight. 2 things. First of all, what I might have missed it, but I didn't see in the budget's understanding or framework is there's a low estimation for the income that will come from the rental of our entrance to CAL FIRE over the course of the fire season. What happens to the money beyond what is budgeted as income? This is a great opportunity for the board to begin getting back to what has been a concern complaint for years, it seems, which is we need to be planning for the future for engine purchases. We need to be setting aside money for that from the profits of the rental of our equipment. I think it's fair to say that as our equipment and some of that could potentially use for other district costs, but I think it's not responsible to ahead of time set aside or say, here's how we're going to handle this, whether it's 50-50 split, 60-40, or based on however the allocation of the budget is. But I think that in the final budget, there needs to be some kind of guide for how the board then allocates extra income that comes in. It might even potentially allow us to pay off leases and current purchases more quickly, which would help us more immediately 5 years down the road when we know our costs continue to go up. The other thing with this is simply I am real concerned about reducing weed abatement, recognizing it's an expense we have to pull from reserves or cut something else. It might be right in the times with all the fires in California, but this kind of program takes 3 to 5 years to really take root. We're already seeing some of the fruit of that faster, I think Chief Moran said, than we expected. And some of this will come back to us and ask the board to consider waiting that out. Because 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, I'd be glad we did, both for the income that will come from liens on collective funds and just the simple safety of our community. So I would be concerned about cutting back beyond what really helps us.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else like to speak? I do have a list of emails that have been sent in that I would like to read, and then at that point, we will have staff answer as many questions as we can that were brought up. They may not be able to answer all of them, but they'll be able to answer them. So is there anyone else like to speak before I read the one that came in via email? Okay, this is from John Bruce, and the subject is 2019-20 budget. Dear Sir, Madam, I hear that the budget allows for an amount to staff the kiosk at the lake that is roughly equal to the expected revenue. I understand that there is a belief that it helps dissuade some elements from entering, but I can also say that it defers families from visiting as the cost rapidly adds up if there are a number of children to pay for it. I know we as a family visit much more frequently when the kiosk is not staffed. I would propose that we eliminate charges to visit and encourage more families to make use of the facilities, or at the very least, it should be free to residents who I imagine have and continue to subsidize the cost in their entirety. Kind regards, John Bruce. This letter is from Missy Doherty. Hello, I'm writing to voice my opinion on the preliminary budget vote tonight. I'm a Cameron Park resident with 6- and 8-year-old girls and frequent users of Cameron Park Lake and Lagoon. I understand that the budget to staff the kiosk at the lake is $21,000 a year, which is also the amount of expected annual income from that same kiosk. This appears to be a great waste of money for families in our community, and I'm writing to support the proposal to cancel the fee at the lake and no longer staff the kiosk. I also would like to voice my strong support for continuing Cameron Park Lake Spectacular. There are a number of events in Cameron Park each year, and this one seems monumentally more successful in bringing our community together than any other sponsored event. I would consider it a great loss and would give us one more reason to bring our families to Elmwood Hills for a celebration rather than to stay in our own. And that's from Missy Doherty, Bar J. Ranch. This is from Fiorella Fuentes, whom it may concern. My name is Fiorella Fuentes, and I've been a resident of Cameron Park since 2010. Since then, our family has grown, and now more than ever, my family spends time at all of our town recreation facilities. We really enjoy the park by the lake, but since we have to pay fees for every time that we visit it, which is ridiculous, we try to avoid it. I don't understand why residents have to pay fees to enter this public space, especially since we pay local taxes that supposedly cover the maintenance of this park and lake. I'm not the only one with this complaint. I have many friends with kids that avoid this park due to the entrance fees. The only thing that the kiosk is doing is to prevent residents to enjoy our public areas. I want the board to know that I oppose the collection of the entrance fee
for the Cameron Park Lake. As I said before, this is ridiculous fee for residents to pay local tax. Regards, Fiorella Flynn. This email is from Ron Carlson, CPCSD Board. My name is Ron Carlson, and I've been a homeowner resident in Cameron Park for the past 16 years. I want the board to know that I oppose fees being charged to enter Cameron Park Lake. It is my understanding that fees collected are equal to expenses needed to administer the collection booth. This is a disservice to residents as they are unable to freely access their park. I ask the board to please consider doing away with all the fees for this park. Thanks for your consideration. Ron Carlson. This letter is from Julie Anthony, and there's two sections. The first one is dated Sunday, June 9th. And this is subject budget/lagoon. The one thing that Cameron Park has over Eldorado Hills and Fulton and other surrounding areas is the whole Cameron Park Lake situation. You can come here and walk, you can swim and build tank houses with your children, you can rent a boat, you can play tennis, or you can play pickleball, and you can go grab food at the concession stand. How is it that Fulton can keep building parks that are huge and beautiful, and we are still trying to keep the one area we have alive? The reason I moved here 20 years ago was because of Cameron Park Lake and the lagoon, because it was so different. I would hate to see the spectacular disappear, but I understand why we have to go. I think maybe you can shop around for something a little bit cheaper to do a fireworks display, and maybe not do the whole day thing, because it seems kind of a waste anyhow. You can't seem to get vendors to show up. They're getting smaller, and it seems geared just towards children. Maybe change it so the children during the day events and then a little bit more adult during the night. But it's a shame that we can't get it together up here. We have a tiny cute community, and everybody's making us look like idiots, and the surrounding areas, they are building like crazy and building beautiful parks. And I would agree to close part of the community center instead of the lagoon. If you want families to move up here, you better keep the good things that we have that everyone can use. We are going to use the lagoon more than we're going to use empty buildings. This is Julie Anthony. And she also sent another one on Monday, June 10th. So let's get some interesting entertainment to the lake that people will pay to go to. Concerts, outdoor movies. One night a child movie, and an adult type movie turn. One week, an old movie. We have food truck dinner tonight, once a month at the lake. Get a cornhole club going. Horseshoes, a walking exercise group, outdoor painting, Julie Anthony. And this one was received June 18th. This is addressed to the Deer Board of Directors. We are writing to you as Cameron Park residents in light of the recent developments within our community as it relates to our financial leadership and our concerns thereof. As employees of the Cameron Park CSD, we have some inside knowledge of management issues and want to share some of that information. On July 5th, 2018, the CSD staff was called in for a breakdown meeting to address the budget deficit of $300,000 plus. At that meeting, the staff came up with dozens of ideas to cut expenses and increase revenue. Jill Richmond, the general manager, said she would consider the idea. A year later, we don't believe any implementation has occurred, and come to find out, we have 3 times the deficit. How is that possible? Who is minding the store? There are some recent purchases we question. $25K truck, $25K plus mower, $1,500 plus boat, $7K plus lead suction equipment, thousands of dollars on GPS irrigation systems. We find it interesting. We've never had money in previous year's budgets for such expenditures, but we do now. Where is the accountability? At the beginning of this month, Richmond called an all-staff meeting to discuss the budget deficit of $1 million plus. At that meeting, she stated 4 ideas. 1, eliminate park supervisor to save $15K. 2, eliminate summer spectacular to save $20K. 3, close the lagoon to save $30K and construct a water park. 4, close the community center Sunday and Monday. In addition, she skewed the numbers to show the park department was in a major deficit and the community center was in the black for the first time in recent memory. At that, she asked the questions and we responded with the following. 1, we don't believe you can eliminate the park supervisor position. 2, we believe the summer spectacular to be our signature event. 3, we believe repurposing the lagoon a closing proposition in terms of cost of construction and maintenance as well as another community lost. 4, we believe the reduction of the community center availability to be a net sum gain and another community loss. In summary, we believe she is stripping the community of our attributes and our best qualities. At that point, we replied, "This will get your attention that we need a tax." We rebutted how that seemed to be throwing good money after bad. And then she exited saying, "This is a dumb meeting." The next day, Nikki Neubauer visited staff at County Park Lake to explain the budget changes. She told us these ideas are experimental in nature. We said you're experimenting with our tax dollars, and she left. The next morning, Richmond visited staff at County Park Lake to follow up on explanation of the budget changes. We rebutted with more ideas to generate revenue and save on expenditures, but she replied, "Government isn't good at that." She claimed we don't have the staff, but we say we have more staff than ever. Have our tax dollars been misappropriated? Sincerely, Craig Schuler, Greg Dalbeck, Mike Merritt, and Marty Smith. And that is the last of our received email comments. So we will now close public comment, and it will allow staff to speak, answer any questions raised by your comments.
Very aligned with any of those questions, or you want me to kind of go down the list, or? You've got to start, okay, Mike. Oh, go ahead. Okay, so, the closure of the community center that might jeopardize senior nutrition, don't think that we would consider that, or at least we would. Senior nutrition is a low impact, and the county really takes it over, so, we would obviously try to preserve that. Also, I just want to talk a little bit about the closure of the community center. It's not to close the district office, but to close the community center for use and programming. So, keeping the office open 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and closing the community center that would be available for rentals or recreation groups, we would try to push those programs to 5 days a week instead of 7 days a week, saving utilities and staff costs. Right now, the full-time staff person works Tuesday through Saturday, because Saturday is a busy day for rentals, and we want a full-time person here. So we would save on part-time staff costs. So that's kind of the nuance with the closing of the community center. And again, we're reporting back to the Parks and Recreation Committee on what this would look like. We may do the numbers, and we may come up with, we would have too much of a loss of revenue, but we would need to come up with some way to save $40,000, which is currently in our budget. So, property tax, you want to talk about property tax, Vicki, because it was not budgeted at 5%, is that correct?
No, it's not. It's budgeted at 3.5%.
The property tax was originally proposed to be budgeted at a 5% increase. This current budget has a 3.5% increase.
As far as staff costs, helper costs, that was included in our first draft of the budget. We can certainly pull that forward and make the edits for the proposed budget, and we can also do a cost comparison if we're happy to do that. And we would report back to the budget committee on that. There was a question regarding what happened to the property tax allocation that was originally historically assigned to recreation, but because the budgets were in a deficit, there really wasn't a property tax allocation for them. So and it's been absorbed through the other high priority items. So recreation is not receiving a property tax allocation in this scenario, but it's our job to report back to the Parks and Recreation Committee on what that would look like, what programs we can sustain, and including the overhead costs for the recreation supervisor and things like that. So the user fees would meet expenditures and overhead such as direct tax system and stuff like that. So we'll report back on that. And it will probably be, summer spectaculars in a couple of weeks, and we got to get through summer operations, so it'll be a little bit for that. The union labor agreement, it is 4% a year. We researched surrounding agencies, we were well below that. So these changes in our union contract
brought us to par or just under par with the surrounding agencies because our benefits are good. That helps us keep wages low. The nice thing about, I know healthcare costs are going, but it's a total compensation package, which is salary and benefits. Having a higher benefit rate for an employee actually helps because it's not pensionable. So that helps. The pool is typically closed anyway in the wintertime, so yeah, we'll look at the pool and the community center both looking at. We do not have a reserve. I think that does have to be one of our goals moving forward, is to have a dedicated reserve. We have talked to the budget and admin committee about that a couple of months ago. I think they were a little, weren't ready to bring it forward. They wanted to get through this budget. But I do think having a reserve, a savings account for those capital, and then what happens is that your annual budget makes a contribution into your savings account. Sometimes, and it's like at home, you put into your savings account and then the dishwasher goes, and then you pull it out, and then you put in savings and then something else breaks, and you have to put a new roof on your house. So whatever that is, there's this give and take with a reserve account. So you sometimes put in more, sometimes you take out less, so and that reverses itself. The fund balance has changed. Hey, Vicki, do you have your fund balance, how it's changed over the last couple of years?
I don't have that with me, but over the last several years, it's gone up and down. So there's not really a trend.
I've actually got it in front of me. Our unaudited actual for fiscal year 16-17, we gave back to our fund balance at $47,000. Our unaudited 17-18 fiscal year, we took away from our fund balance at $53,000 off. It's actually on tab, just behind tab 8, and it's also a handout in the back, if you want to see it. The budgeted for 18-19 was that we were going to we were going to be in a deficit spending of 327. We haven't ended our year yet, and this is another question that came up. Our fiscal year ends June 30th, so property tax allocations and all of that is a July 1 through June 30th cycle. So we are budgeted to go into our fund balance by 327. We'll have year-end numbers. We talked yesterday about that. We're hoping to have some preliminary year-end numbers in August when we come back with the final budget. So our fund balance, or our beginning checking account balance, right now, in 16-17, it was $3.8 million. In 17-18, it was $3.7 million. And what's projected for 18-19 is $3.4 million. So, and what's important to note about this is that, again, when we have a downturn in the economy, this is where you somehow soften those blows of service level reductions. And it's good to have some money set aside for that. So it also helps with cash flow. You got to have a cash flow in property tax collection. So Roberta will get back to you on some more information on LLAD costs. I haven't done it yet. And that's all the questions that we can answer tonight, and we can certainly try to answer more as we move forward.
Okay, thank you. We're now closed our public hearing regarding the preliminary budget. We're bringing it back to the board for deliberation and perhaps a motion. Any comments from the board?
Yep. I've got two comments. it's not a question anymore, but I didn't get clarity on where the $100,000 in property taxes that moved from recreation, I didn't really get an answer on that one, to where it went. If there was an answer, it didn't stick in my head. And then in addition to I guess I'll have to find this out later, but in addition to the general manager, I want to know what staff position is tasked with raising revenue. I'm really not happy with this budget. I feel that I need justification. I'd like to see a justification for charging the kiosk fee to staff the kiosk. I want real numbers on the cost to run programs. And I feel that the admin costs are too high, especially subcontracting when we're talking about setting up some spectacular.
Vicki, do you want to try to explain better what happens to the property tax allocation that used to be in recreation?
The property tax, I don't have the benefit of the spreadsheet any longer. But basically what we did is we did an analysis of what the property taxes are required. And we started with the idea that the community center did not get an allocation for property taxes. So we didn't have an allocation for that. We had to cover our fixed assets. As Sheila said, our real overhead is fixed assets plus our admin. And then what we did is we tried to shift the property tax where it made the most sense. Over the last year, 2 years, recreation has come in with more revenues than they had expenditures at year end. What that really says is that they had more of a property allocation than was necessary to cover their expenses. So when we looked at that and we looked at the revenues that they had to sustain their program, we saw that they did not need any property taxes. Did I answer the question?
I still don't see the line item under operating revenue for community center budget. I don't see property taxes.
You don't have property taxes in the community center.
Okay, so where did the $100,000 for recreation and property taxes go?
They went to parks, to admin, to fixed costs.
Okay, thank you. That answers.
Why? You just told me they didn't go to parks.
Did your questions get answered, Felicity, then? Verbally, I haven't looked at the paper to see if they're back on paper.
Okay, any other comments from the board?
So here we are again with the deficit budget. We've been kicking the can down the road. I mean, I've been coming since 2005 to these meetings. I don't understand the general manager's comment that the budget admin committee didn't feel comfortable starting the savings account. It just doesn't make any sense why we haven't dealt with putting money away, and little by little by little, then becomes big, which is how the county has been able to resolve a lot of their problems. It's a model that we need to take a look at. I don't see creative concepts to increase the value of the assets that we already have. And all of the emails that came in, everyone who got up to speak tonight spoke about why they love it here, why they chose to live here, because of the assets that we have. We didn't have the community center until 10 years ago. It's never been fully marketed. We knew it was never going to pay for itself. I wasn't on the committee, so I was trying to get a dog park built, and I went out and raised some money with a team of volunteers to to get it done. And we got it done. $40,000 we raised, and we did it little by little. And the programs that we use as vehicles to raise that money, Reds, Whites, and Jewels, our events in the spring, the Spring Garden Antique Show, they're gone. There's no, except for the symphony, I don't think we've had a musical event here. We have talked about for years how we used to be able to go to the lake and have a picnic. Why are we renting? Why isn't someone, a vendor coming in here and every Wednesday night or every Thursday night in the summer having barbecue where you can come in and buy a plate of food and sit with your family and enjoy some music? I think people would pay for that. We only have one overnight event at the lake. One. We have one overnight event at the lake. And I understand about staffing, but if you hire that out and you take a percentage of the profit and people see the lake, how many of you know we even have boats to rent at the lake? We don't advertise. I've talked about signage for years and years and years. We don't take action. And here we are again without a savings plan. As a kid, we used to put, I can remember saving my quarters every week for a savings plan. And little by little, I was able to buy my own ice skates, I was able to buy a new bike. We need some creativity at the top. And this budget's not affecting it.
Any other questions? I have a question. Good job. What is the implications of us not passing this draft preliminary budget? Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but what you could also do is to roll over last year's budget. So you would just, and I'm not sure what the motion would be, but you would simply have staff continue to operate with the current budget that was approved in 1819. So 1819's budget would just be rolled to 19.
So roll is, what has to happen is the board would have to approve the final 1819 budget as the preliminary 1920 budget. So it doesn't just automatically roll. You have to approve last year's budget as your new preliminary budget.
And what if we do neither of those?
What if you need them?
We have to approve something in order to continue to operate on July 1st. Is that okay?
Yes, that's correct, although they may have more to contribute on this, so.
That's correct. We need a budget by June 30th. That's July 1st.
The spending authority, is the board. And so the board has to approve some level of spending authority for staff.
It's state law regulation that says that you need to provide a budget for the fiscal year. Your budget provides an appropriation approval, and that must come from the board.
I'd like to make a motion with two exceptions. I'm going to move to approve the proposed budget with the exceptions of eliminating the kiosk fee and eliminating staffing the kiosk, 1, and 2, reducing the administrative costs, specifically subcontracting, reducing them by $18,000 and putting the summer spectacular back in.
Comprehensive parts or just general?
I would leave that up to the general manager.
Well, considering what we're seeing in check ledgers, the additional money that's being spent by contractors, it's a lot more than $18,000.
the proposal I made. Sure. I'm moving to, okay, first of all, I'm going to say, warning, I will not approve a final budget unless I have real numbers on costs to run programs. However, understanding that a budget does need to be passed for us not to have local government shutdown, I am proposing that the proposed preliminary budget, as presented by staff, be approved, minus income and expenditures for the kiosk, and $18,000 be removed from, I'm not sure where, but administrative or subcontracting costs in exchange for putting the summer spectacular back in. The summer spectacular is taken out of the budget, right? It's not in the proposed budget. Correct.
Question, my comment on eliminating the kiosk is that I think more research needs to be done. I'm certainly not, I need more information before I created that. Simply because those kiosks, it does more than just, it also supports our passes that we purchase, those joint passes. I mean, how are we going to do, are we still going to have, wait a minute, let me reverse. Are we still going to have a Hammond Park Lake pass?
So right now, you've sold passes for this summer. If the motion is to stop charging fees at the kiosk halfway through the summer, there you are, I would foresee that it's not just people that are coming in on a daily basis, but that there would be some sort of expectation from our community to refund those passes and those combo passes that are sold. That would be time-consuming and costly. So, I would need clarification on that. I don't know if it's your intent to start that immediately. I would encourage you that we can come back with more information, and we can certainly evaluate that moving forward.
So I can't support that. There's too many other issues here, without any numbers to back the closing of the community center 2 days a week, the ideas that were presented by our residents, not only at this meeting and the last meeting, of reducing the hours that are worked makes, so much more sense. Why not reduce an hour? If you reduce an hour in the summer months and reduce 2 hours off the employees in the winter months, we'd have tremendous savings. Nothing happens here in the winter, except some of the programs. We're not.
Don't we have a symphony during the winter? This place is loaded.
Well, that's what, and my point is that we don't have, that's the only event we've had this year, is the symphony. We used to have, as bad as he was, the Elvis impersonator, and all of those people that used to be, it was a good laugh, right, in the dead of winter. I can't support that, so I can't second the motion. There's so much that unexplained.
Director Stokely, the normal procedure would be to call, to ask whether or not there's a second to that motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a second for Felicity's motion? Okay, so that motion
Fails for lack of a second.
fails. Okay. All right, so I also would like to see some savings in there, but I would like to give staff a little more flexibility. You talked about 18K on admin and to pay for specifically for summer spectacular. I would like to see where we come out with budget versus actual, like what happened this year with the call out to the community with them knowing that it's scheduled to be eliminated. And see what those actuals are first before we actually start dedicating funds to it. Perhaps we're really close. Perhaps we're not. But I think that decision should be made after we get our actuals. Because we can put it back in. and I can see it coming back in. If we're close, I'd certainly love to see that event come back.
The foundation, the Cameron Park Foundation, Community Foundation, has a GoFundMe page. And so we'll know soon, how that GoFundMe page is going.
And
If you didn't know that, I wanted you to know that.
And that's what I thought the community, in my concept, that's what the Community Foundation was created for originally. I thought was to be a vehicle to accept money from the community for Cameron Park and events and specific instances, like memorial plaques for some of our residents who contributed to the community. So I don't understand why that hasn't happened all along. I'm not sure if we've completely taken the benefit of that organization. I think that we have been shooting too high and looking for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 donations from our local businesses. I have a business. Monique has donated, and her husband have donated this year and got matching funds. I just think it has to come from the top. There has to be someone who is creating the money. We all live here, we all shop here, we all take our cars in for repair. Why, if we had $500 donations from 10 people, rather than the 5,000 donations from one person, then you have more, you build your community, people get to know each other, you see names of businesses that we all support, because most business owners live here.
I'm not getting all what you just said.
We're trying to.
You're selling right now.
We're trying to come
Yes,
up
you
with a
are.
budget, and the cuts that are happening don't make sense to me. We're gonna shut down for 2 days a week, the proposal to shut the building down.
Would you like to make a motion? Would you like to?
No, I don't support the budget.
Okay.
I'm willing to make another motion. All right, I'm willing to let go of the kiosk issue for now, till we obtain further information, but believe me, it's coming back. Right, but I also agree that buying more information is fine to an extent. So I would like to propose, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the budget as proposed. However, I want to see $18,000 removed from expenditures from the following two line items.
Where are you?
I'm in the parks and facilities budget, second page. It's section 10, no, section 11, I apologize. Section 11, you're going to dig through to get to page 2 for the line item. It's 5420, it's professional services. It's currently budgeted at $54,000. I would like to reduce that by $12,500. And in the administration budget, line 5240, contract services other, it's budgeted for $35,920. I'd like to to reduce that by, I think it's about $7,500, the amount to make up the cost of some of the assignments. Yeah, so in the administration budget, which is in tab 9, line item, this is budget code 5240, and it's contract services other, and it's budgeted at $35,927. So what I'm proposing is reduction in contract services, some in admin, and some in parks and facilities, very professional services, for a total. Okay, and I want it to equal the amount that has been removed for the cost of the contract. Does that make sense? Ish?
Line item 5420, it's actually the 18-19 budget that's 28,000. 19-20 budget's already been reduced, that's 17,000.
Right, so line 5420, under parks and facilities, I'm seeing a fiscal year 19-20 budget of $54,000.
That's under the 4,000 parks budget.
I'm looking at the administration budget.
And your administration budget, line item 5240, contract services, is budgeted at
35 there.
Is it your intention to put those funds into the summer spectacular?
Yes. I'm proposing reducing contract services and professional services out of two different departments to a cost that equals the cost of the summer spectacular.
So, as the general manager, those are pretty specific things. So, would not being able to look at this really quick and see what those things are that you just cut, I believe that Parks and Administration can collectively come up with the savings to, if you would like to continue some form of summer spectacular, we can try to do that. And certainly your motion that says make reductions in your expenditure so that you can fund summer spectacular, we can certainly do that if that's your motion. I think making specific reductions to line items doesn't allow us the flexibility to see where those least impact areas is.
I can
Comment
work
as
with
a
that.
general manager.
I can work with that, shall I rephrase my motion? She can
Yeah, your
amend
motion,
that.
yes.
You amend the motion. Withdraw it and make it.
Oh, I'm going to withdraw my earlier motion. And I'm going to move that the board pass the proposed budget with the general manager reviewing the administration and parks and facilities budget to reduce them by an amount to make summer spectacular again part of the budget. Do we have a second?
Can I make a suggestion? I don't know if I'm talking out of turn or not. But just I would recommend, Felicity, if we, because I know the district pays $23,000 a year for janitorial services. And I know the Parks Department has cut back almost $240,000 of their budget. If I were to pull any more staff off of their day-to-day stuff and put them on cleaning the restrooms or locking up the parks at night, it would make that list of things that we're not going to be able to do even longer. So I would recommend if we were to look at something, possibly removing the janitor from the community center, because there are staff here. And
What's that listed under?
it's under 5420,
Oh, it's all.
7,000.
She already amended, yeah, she already amended her motion to be more flexible. Yeah, and I think that what you're hearing from staff is we would like some flexibility so that we can find the areas of the least impact to support the summer spectacular.
What I'd like to point out is if we do move those funds over to summer spectacular, we are still looking at an operational deficit around $20,000. So you can push money around, but that deficit is still there. And you're looking at essentially still funding the summer spectacular with the deficit. So if you want, I would like to see $20,000 removed. So we start at zero operational, and we come back with a plan to fund the summer spectacular with a committee, with public input, with another reinvented, so that it's perhaps just fireworks and we don't have, but not give up on it, definitely. Just not wipe it from the slate. But realizing that we can't go forward with it in the budget until we find a proper funding source. We start right after when we get our actuals, and then we can kind of ask for a committee for something to investigate how we're going to bring it back.
And what about the grant?
Director, so again, at this point, we actually have a motion on the floor. We need to know whether or not there's a second to that, or
Okay.
or if your statement was a request to make a friendly amendment to that motion.
Okay, I'll make that a friendly amendment to the motion. Meaning that we change it, no, I won't make it a friendly amendment. Is there a second to Felicity's motion?
It's not quite understandable since you were talking back and forth when you done it.
Can we restate the motion? Mr. Russell?
Okay, I am moving to approve the proposed budget minus $20,000 at the, more or less at the general manager's discretion, plus $20,000 for the summer spectacular. So we would be subtracting $20,000 from somewhere in the administration, subcontracting expenses, and then adding $20,000 to summer spectacular. So we would still have a $20,000 operating deficit.
Do we have a second? So that motion fails. Second. Christie, would you like to try again? Anyone else? Paul? Yeah. I'm just giving you the notes. All right, well, I would like to make a motion to approve the preliminary draft budget, giving staff the flexibility to bring the operational deficit to zero, with the understanding that summer spectacular would be looked at as a top priority to fund or come back. This is getting very verbose. So that's my motion.
Second.
Is that okay with the motion? Yes, second.
Probably specifically, yes.
Okay.
I'd ask you to do a roll call.
Okay, so we have a second, and by roll call, please.
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Morris? No. Director Carlson?
Aye.
And Director Wood?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes 3-1. No, 2-1. 3-1. Get it late.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for hanging in there with us.
We're not done.
We're not done with this, but we're not done with this.
Good.
Almost running out, yes, so more fun to be had. So that
completed item number 10. Item number 11, we are not discussing, it's been moved to the next portion, not the next portion, 26th, to the 26th. And now we are opening, item 12, opening the public hearing to approve resolution 2019 establishing appropriate funds for fiscal year 2019-20 for the Hammond Park City Council District. Take it away, Vicki.
Okay, this item is truly a housekeeping item. We, every year, are asked to establish an appropriation limit, and we are given we are asked every year to approve an appropriations limit, to establish an appropriations limitation through the approval by the board. We are given a cost of living factor that's applied to the previous year's rate, and then we come up with the new fiscal year appropriations limitation. So basically, we're asking for approval for the limitation factor to be 1.05, which brings our appropriation for 1920 to $11,064,867.
I wish we had that much money.
No.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Bringing it back to the board for I close the, no, that's public comment. No, I did public comment. Nobody wants to do it. And
so
I'll move to approve resolution number 2019-14, resolution establishing appropriations limitations for fiscal year 2019-2020 for the Cameron Park Community Services.
all in favor? Aye.
That passes 4-0.
And now item 13, vote for up to 3 candidates for the Special District River Management Authority Board of Directors. And I'm speaking to Ms. Cantor. Yeah, if you hand me your score sheet, I will tell them up and let you know what the top 3 candidates are. The ballot's on here.
That one sheet, the last one you
Okay,
is
got
that
it.
13?
Not this one?
Your top 3 rating candidates are Bob Swan, Bob Swan, Jesse Claypool, and Sandy Seifert Raffleson. All right, do we need to make a motion to approve those 3? Yes, please. And let's see, board action, vote up to 3 candidates. Can they nominate them collectively, all 3 positions? Yes. And do we need a full vote for that? Okay, voice will be fine. Okay, so, the top 3 candidates, if somebody would like to make a motion, is Bob Swan, Jesse Claypool,
I'll do it, I've got it. I move to,
and Sandy Seibert.
for the official 2019 election ballot, Special District Risk Management Authority Board of Directors, Cameron Park Community Services District Board of Directors has submitted the following 3 names, of candidates, Bob Swan, Jesse Claypool, and Sandy Seibert Jackson, as our official vote for the FCR.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 4-0. Okay, moving on to our board informational items, item number 14, which is matters to and from board members and staff.
Anybody would like to pick that up?
Sure, I would like the board to know that I'm considering running for the District 2 County Supervisor. And I would love to hear from community members, if there are concerns and thoughts. Thank you.
Did you say considering, or you said you were?
I am considering.
Yes.
I have not announced publicly whether I'm running.
You have?
I have not yet publicly announced
Okay.
that I'm running, so I am considering running for District 2 County Supervisor.
Okay, got it. Any other comments?
spend for something spectacular?
I have a few comments. I've talked to a lot of people, and yes, I agree, Summer Spectacular is a very hard fit to the community, and very much looking forward to finding a way to make that happen. Also, let you guys know I'm off backpacking, so I won't be back till Sunday. So if you want to talk to me, I won't be there. I'll be in the woods.
I'll talk to you, Sawyer.
I'm answered. And I want to thank everybody. Those out there in the audience, hanging in there. Really appreciate all the staff, doing their presentations and coming up and presenting their departments, I think was really key. And I think it's important that the community see who you are and what you do. And I thought that was well received. Any further comments, matters to move from? Okay, moving to LAFCO. Holly?
Okay. The main issue that we dealt with at the May LAFCO meeting was the partial transfer of jurisdiction from Placer County LAFCO over the solution of the Meeks Bay Fire Protection District. This is a joint county matter, and there have been discussion for months as to who would take the lead in this matter. So that was the main topic of discussion, and we also discussed the approval that AT&T and as blocks of out-of-agency service agreement with the El Dorado County Fire Protection District. An agreement needed to be made to extend interim fire suppression services to a proposed cell tower in anticipation of annexation to the district. Last one.
Great, thank you, Holly. Moving on to item 16, committee reports, budget and admin. We had a nice raucous budget and admin meeting, and through that, we did manage bringing our budget, draft preliminary budget to the board, although at that meeting, Holly and I weren't able to participate either, but we did bring it to the board, and we got that done. Moving over to notes. We discussed also about grant writers in budget management. That was brought forward, although it was cut from the last time we looked at it. We brought forward the SDR May election, which we just completed. And that was the main, that's what we got done in that budget management. Looking forward to the next one. And our next committee on the agenda is CCNRs.
Basically, basic report.
Yeah, I think CCNRs is pretty uneventful. I don't know that we really got anything to do with that. Okay. And then the next committee report. Fire and Emergency Services. Thank you.
As always, in our discussion of the reabatement ordinance program, several ideas were brought forward. The possibility of can the district, which would be our CCNR officer and the reabatement employees, ticket our offenders in the community. So that is something that hopefully General Manager is following up on. It would make things so much easier, just instead of having to go back and go back and go back and go back. So I think we're going to go to either the Attorney or Joe Harlan or one to find out. I also wonder, can we publicly notice offenders in the newspaper, those who don't abate their properties? Public training? Yeah, public training. I brought forward my ideas for consideration on cost reduction to reduce our budget. And with the fact that this is the third year that we have been abating and inspecting unimproved lots, and we have such a tremendous return of compliance, a percentage of compliance, and that if we were to do mineral work in the unimproved lots next spring, we know at this point who the main offenders are, the chronic offenders, and go after abating the continued list of offenders that we already know about, and put our money toward the improved lot inspection and hit that as hard as we did this year with our education program and beautiful pamphlet that CAL FIRE created, and then follow up next year with our focus being on the improved lots, so that by the end of the 5 or 6 year cycle, people would, as we've heard in testimony tonight, people are getting the idea that just clean the property, and the pressure being put on by CAL FIRE, by the public notices in the paper, and neighborhood pressure. So those are the main things we talked about in fire and emergency service.
I think you're up next on Parks and Rec as well.
In Parks and Rec. We reviewed again the park improvement project ideas. Oh no, yes, this is June. And the ranking criteria. We had a very lively discussion because we reviewed the tally of respondents regarding the survey for dogs being able to be walked on leash at Cameron Park Lake. I think it was about a 2-to-1 vote in favor of, but we don't really have a plan in place to move that survey information forward. So it's really just waiting for,
We're kind of waiting for the budget to come.
additional conversation. Very controversial.
Well, I think that if we are rolling out something that's fundamentally changing, how we operate something, it has to be managed, and we want to see what's happening, what's in place to help manage and manage.
Yeah, it's a big conversation. We had our summer spectacular update. Obviously, we need more sponsorships, and my idea was again going out to smaller businesses and getting many smaller donations and plastering their name all over the place so that everybody knows who supported us. And then we just did our staff written update.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
Solar energy ad hoc, how do you want to handle that?
We'll be coming back to the board probably in July with a recommendation from the Solar Ad Hoc Committee. At this point, there's a recommendation to seek and secure an expert to help us with the selection of a company to do the build of a solar project here. But that may cost us some money, one-time money, which you could recoup in the future if you transition to solar. So I'm just looking for other funding sources so that it doesn't become an additional deficit. So we'll see
adjourn at 7:30.
All in favor?
Aye.